So I want to build on my last video. My last video was about annuities. Well, um, most of the time now you have long-term care. Everybody's like, what's long-term care? If you don't know what long-term care is, it pays for your expenses while you're in, um, assisted living. If you're in hospice care, something of the sort, it even pays for home care, depending on the company. But um, and usually they have a multiplier, meaning that if you put in $100,000, they'll usually have a short questionnaire. And if you answer those questions, depending on how you answer those questions, they'll either turn that $100,000 into $200,000 or $300,000, for example, one company in particular. But it can only be used in most cases. It just depends on the product. There again, depends on the product, but it can only be used for long-term care. But the hybrid products now, they have death benefits. So if it doesn't get used for long-term care, say you don't end up in bad shape when you get older, or bad enough to end up in long-term care, or need it, then that money can it can either be done for, like, say, for example, for husband and wife, for your spouse. It can have both of you on it. And if one of you passes first, the other one can use it. And then outside of that, you have a death benefit. So if neither one of you uses it, then it can go to your heirs. Now, it probably won't be, for example, if they did a multiplier on it, they probably won't give you the extra money. They'll give the original return of the original amount of money that was put in. And if there are products out there that do the whole amount, I'm not aware. But all products are different. But long-term care helps keep you from. So in the scenarios of long-term care, so say you don't have it. One, you need to have, and this is off topic, and again, you always check with your estate planning attorneys, tax attorneys, whoever that you need to talk to about this. This is just for informational purposes, but you always want to have a good estate plan in place, which we work with different attorneys to accomplish that for the people we help with estate planning. We do the insurance products, so the annuities, the long-term care products, life products, whatever the case may be, even premium financing, stuff like that. We help them set up how their money needs to be paid out in many cases, because they might move their money over into a life product. But in this case, what I like to mention about long-term care and the estate planning is that if you don't have a plan in place and you don't have your assets protected, what ends up happening is that you can go into spend down. You will have to spend down a certain amount of money of your estate if you end up in, say, assisted living or long-term care, until the money goes down to a certain level, and then basically the government kicks in and they start paying for you, Medicaid type of payments, Medicare coverages, that you have to meet a certain net worth or be at a certain level of net worth. And if you're above that, your estate gets billed for that, and your estate has to pay it and pay down to a certain point. Now, the downside to that is, if you go in to spend down, that's a lot of your money. Some of these long-term care type of situations, they might be 5, 6, on the very low side, $3,000 a month, which is probably not a great facility, most likely. But nonetheless, there is that. But some of these are $10,000, $12,000 a month. So, your average one is probably $5,000, $6,000 a month. You got to think about it. That goes really fast. And if you had put some money aside into one of these long-term care policies, one, it protects your money. Two, it's there to pay for those things. And then you get a multiplier, which they'll pay over a certain period of time. They're set up different ways, right? They might be set up to pay for it for 3 years. It might be set up to pay for 18 months. It might be set up. It's all in how it's set up, and it depends on the options with the product and the company as to whether or not, when and how they pay. And some of them are do a per diem, so per day they pay a certain amount. Other ones do a certain amount per month. So the downside to, for example, for a per day, a per diem, is that they might cover $3,000 a month, but if they come in 3 times a week, for example, into your home, and they charge you $300 a day, you'd have to come out of pocket the other $200 a day to pay that. So you've got to be careful about the product. You have to be aware of what you're getting. But long-term care helps protect you, right? Just like the annuities in general help protect you and your assets, and life insurance, because life insurance products in general, depending, there again, annuities can be slightly different in certain states. But in my state, where I live, it's protected. So you're protecting yourself from a multitude of different things. You go into the situations, people bring up OJ. They couldn't get to his pension because I believe, and I don't know this for a fact, I've just heard more than one other outlet talking about it, that his pension was held in an annuity from the NFL. So the annuity was what was protecting his money, where nobody could get to his money, and he still can live the way he lives because he has that pension in place. And annuities can be set up in different products, and they can be rollovers and whatnot. And even the long-term care can be, a portion of, say, a retirement 401k or IRA or whatever rolled over into this product. And a certain amount of it can be tax-free because it is for long-term care, if it's used for long-term care. But anyway, that is kind of the gist of it. I was a little bit all over the place. I apologize. But, long-term care and having a plan in place for those things, because you don't want to be in a situation where your spouse has that wealth spent down. And then on top of that, you've got to consider, in some cases, whether it be, even if it's annuity, or let's just say it's a retirement of some sort, or whatever, maybe it's Social Security, they usually pay a smaller percentage of that to the surviving spouse, or it comes up to being whoever has the highest, right? Or whoever has the lowest, it depends on what kind of retirement it is. But there's usually, it's not equal, right? It's not equal. It's not just 100% for, it's not just 100% that, in some cases, it depends on how it's set up, for example. But most of the time with most products, there's usually a percentage. So say it's 55% or 75%. For example, I'll give you an example. My father, whenever he passes, my mom gets 55% of his original pension. And then she gets whatever was of hers, which was a smaller one. And so she's going to end up overall with less money. Now, if he ends up in long-term care, and he has to spend down his wealth, then she would be in a lesser position than she is now, where they're great now. They've done well for themselves, and they have a decent income coming in from all of their retirement, but something happens to him, for example, she's on a reduced amount. And this can happen with anyone and any couple. Um, anyway, so an LTC product or a long-term care product, and like I say, typically it's a hybrid product of an annuity, but is a smart play. Even if you start on it early and you pay a couple $100 a month into one, maybe it's not a single pay. Maybe it's one where they allow monthly payments and you pay for so many years and you'll have so much whenever you get there. If you're younger, for example, or maybe not younger, maybe you're 50-ish and, you start doing it because you're probably not going to need it until you're well into your 70s, if not 80s. And people are living longer now. Before people didn't live much past 70 something, early 70s, mid 70s. People are living longer. I've got a 98-year-old grandmother. And mind you, she's from a different generation where a lot of them did die sooner. So, I'm fortunate there. But basically, being the way things are and the way things change and can change, it's nice to have some assurances that things will get paid and it won't erode your wealth. It won't just whittle down at it and you just basically broke at the end of the day compared to what you build up. What you worked so hard to protect is now gone. But anyway, if you protect it and you keep it, then obviously your work wasn't for nothing. It was for your legacy. It was maybe it's for your heirs. Maybe it's for just taking care of you. Maybe you have, maybe you're set up as such where you're leaving life insurance as your estate and you're spending all of your money. You have it planned to where you can enjoy yourself. That's the ideal way to live, and then you have some people who think that, well, they don't need life insurance or they need the minimal or whatever the case may be. Maybe they just don't feel like it's essential and they try to build up their wealth and they get all this wealth and that's fine. But then they still got to live. And, if they spend it up, even though they have money coming in, it's still not the same. And even then, why wouldn't you protect everything with a life insurance policy? I'm sorry. I got off on a tangent there. It just, even if you have all of that money, I can tell you that affluent people still utilize life insurance. And there's a number of reasons for that. And no matter where you are with regard to income, you should always utilize these types of products because it insures it. You insure your house, you insure your car, you get life insurance. You get health insurance. Why wouldn't you get life insurance? You got to take care of those things. Why wouldn't you insure your retirement? And, and obviously 401ks and stuff like that are pretty bulletproof for the most part. But there's still some risk with it, right? With the market and all of that other stuff. So, for example, the difference between that and annuity, it might be if you have an IRA or a 401k and you roll it over to an annuity, you have that downside protection. I talked about it in the last video. If you're not sure what it is, go back to the last video and I cover that. But you have that downside protection, so you're not going to lose your money. You're not going to lose your principal, the original amount of money that you rolled over, and it's only going to grow going forward. And in a bad year, if things crash, you just made nothing. You didn't lose anything. So things to consider. But insuring yourself overall for all of these things, but in a way that it's protecting you from creditors and bad situations, or maybe being sued, or whatever the case may be. And then, like I said, good estate planning, because long-term care is a part of estate planning. So, just things to think about. Please like, subscribe, click the notification bell, help out the YouTube algorithm for me. And comments below, I will certainly try to make any content on things you might have questions on. And if it's something I can answer, or something that's not enough for me to create content, I might mention it in another video. But, I'll always try to respond. And have a great day.